What is going on? Everybody tuning into this episode. And by the way, what is going on with the MLB free agency market? This is absolutely bananas. Carlos Correa is going to the Giants on a 13-year, $350 million contract. $350 million, just south of $27 million a year, right? Holy cow. As you can see, I am a Padres fan, and overall, I'm a baseball fan. And before I just do specific Padres viewpoints, we have to acknowledge what this means for the entire league. The league and the free agency market, right? It's going bonkers. These owners are spending so much money on so many different players, especially young, free agent, controllable shortstops. The Giants already have a shortstop. That's one of the first things that these people have been talking about. And one of the first things I saw is feedback. Carlos Correa going to the Giants. Wait, don't the Giants have Brandon Crawford? Same response that everybody had, or at least Padres fans and people rooting for the Padres thought when they signed Xander Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts plays shortstop. Don't we have Fernando Tatis Jr.? Don't we have Ha-Seong Kim? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you have at their specific defensive positions. Correa will either go to third base, Crawford will go to third base, Correa will go to second base. And more so, the Giants are spending this money and picking up this type of contract because most likely when Brandon Crawford has a contract that expires with the Giants, they're probably not going to explore re-signing Brandon Crawford. So Correa is going to slide over to shortstop if he's not at shortstop while Crawford's there. And there's your shortstop solution. Now, the Giants lineup is not still where maybe it should be for them to be competing at the same level they were at in 2021. 2021, they won 107 or 108 games, whatever the case is. They competed at a really high level, and everybody played out of their minds. They also found some diamonds in the rough with Logan Webb, with Kevin Gausman. Brandon Crawford played like an all-star. Buster Posey, in what ended up being his final year, played like an absolute stud. Okay? Not only do they have Brandon Crawford who can play shortstop, they also have Wilmer Flores. He can play shortstop. They have Tyro Estrada. He bounces around. JD Davis is an infielder. The point is, they're going to figure it out. They're going to find ways and positions and places to put these guys in the lineup no matter what. And defense, as much as I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because it does matter, but when you have a guy like Correa who contributes so heavily with his bat, yes, he plays great defense. Yes, for sure he plays good defense. But you don't need him at shortstop. He can play second base. And by the way, the shift is banned in Major League Baseball this year. So second base defense is important. It's very important. People are probably forgetting that. So Correa, as a good defender, might slide over to second base. JD Davis plays a solid third base. Maybe Correa goes to third. Maybe JD Davis goes to second base. They have a ton of options. The Giants have made a few splashes this offseason as well. Earlier, I think today or not too long ago, they got Ross Stripling, solid rotation piece for them. They picked up Mitch Haniger to play outfield for them. They are building the pieces that they need to get back to the level they were at in 2021. Do I think they will get back to that level this year with Carlos Correa and Mitch Haniger and Ross Stripling? No, I don't. And I think everybody can agree. I don't want to say that they got lucky in 2021, but just everybody played out of their mind, and they played way above their threshold, way above their potential. I mean, 107 wins, 108 wins, whatever they got was just bananas. Okay. What does this mean for the rest of the league? Now, let me tell you guys, as a Padres fan, it's not ideal. It's not ideal to get Carlos Correa to go to the Giants, right? It's a division team. But also, you have to understand and recognize and remember and realize, and all these different synonyms that I can sit here and use, they don't play the same division schedule that they have been in the past. They're not going to play the same division schedule. Previously, every team in the division played each other 19 times. That means the Padres, for example, played the Dodgers 19 times. They played the Giants 19 times, the Rockies 19 times, and the Diamondbacks 19 times. Now, it sucked for teams like maybe the Giants when they weren't necessarily competing super high, because you got to play a murderer's row type team in the Dodgers 19 times. Same with the Padres. Same with a lot of these teams, right? It sucks. This year, the schedule is a little bit more balanced. Everybody plays each other at one point or another in the season, which is going to be really exciting and fun to see. But Correa going to the Giants, if anything, it doesn't hurt the Padres as bad, maybe, as people are going to foresee it to be. I think the bigger story is not like the Giants are going for it, right? And everybody's going to talk about, before we get to the bigger story, the biggest story, I think, and the biggest talking point of this whole thing, they're talking about, of course, in this contract, 13 years. He's 28. He's going to be 41 when the contract's up. Xander Bogaerts is 30 years old, and he had an 11-year contract. He'll be 41 when the contract's up. Trey Turner is 30, 11-year contract, 41. You get my point. Everyone's like, what? Oh, what's going to happen when they're 39? What's going to happen when they're 40? Who cares? Who cares? That's not why the Giants or the Padres or the Phillies or the Yankees with Judge, that's not why they are forking out this money. They're forking out this money because Correa's prime years are just starting. Trey Turner has 3 or 4 years left in his like peak performing absolute prime. Xander Bogaerts, 3 or 4 or 5 years. All of these guys, Correa, Bogaerts, Trey Turner, Aaron Judge to an extent too, all these guys getting massive monster contracts. The way that those guys go about hitting and go about producing on a regular basis is projectable for the long term. Now, what I mean by that is those guys don't strike out a ton. Judge strikes out kind of a lot, but still, he makes up for it with the power. But Correa is a really good bat-to-ball hitter. Trey Turner is a really good bat-to-ball hitter. Xander Bogaerts is a really good bat-to-ball hitter. Okay? On top of all that, Trey Turner is a little bit of a smaller guy. He plays shortstop. He's going to go to Philadelphia and play shortstop. Towards the end of his career, gets a little bit older. Maybe the range starts to get cut down. Just slide him to second base. Xander Bogaerts gets 37 years old, 38. Maybe can't play shortstop anymore. Just slide him over to second base or third base if Manny decides to opt out or we don't have him or whatever the case is. Carlos Correa. Tall, lanky, good arm, plays really good defense. Honestly, projects in a lot of ways as a third baseman already. So when he's 37, 38, and he can't run a little bit, his defense is wavering, just slide him over to third base. Just put him in the DH spot. We got a DH everywhere now. Bogaerts could DH until he's 38, or, once he turns 38. Carlos Correa can DH once he turns 38. The biggest storyline of all these free agent contracts, especially and most recently including Carlos Correa signing to the Giants, is I think this is the beginning and signifying the end of the Dodgers' reign in the National League West and as a team in general. The Giants and the Padres have gotten significantly better in the span of a few weeks. The Giants and the Padres. The Dodgers, in the last 2 years, they trade for Max Scherzer, and then he re-signs somewhere else. And Trey Turner comes over in that trade. He re-signs somewhere else. They lose Jock Peterson, who signed whatever last year or 2 years. I don't know, but they don't have guys like Jock Peterson. They lose Cody Bellinger, and they aren't quite getting the incredible Dodger magic projection or production from the guys that have just shown up magically and played really well for them. Chris Taylor's one of them. Max Muncy has come down to earth significantly. And now the Dodgers, looking at their lineup, it's still very good. You still have Mookie Betts. You still have Freddie Freeman and Will Smith. You still have good pitching. But they're losing those sort of foundational pieces, not the big superstars who could also be foundational, but the more under the radar, but also important foundational pieces. They're losing those either in production, still on the team, or losing them outright to other teams. The story of this Carlos Correa signing is twofold. Number one, owners are spending money. And the Giants, even with this Carlos Correa contract, last year they had just north of $100 million in payroll. It's going to take them up to about $130 million. Okay. Back in 2017-18, they were routinely in the top 5 to 7 in payroll. I know they're spending at well north of 170 million in some years, close to 200. So they're not done. And if they're not done in this offseason and they sign somebody else, that wouldn't surprise me. But not only that, they're signing Correa for these few years because in the next 4, 5, 6 years of his contract, they're going to pick up supporting cast pieces and trades and pitching and all these different things. So do I think the Giants are going to make the playoffs next year and win 107 games? I don't think they'll win 107. They may potentially, if they pitch the ball and they get high production from their new additions and the guys they already have, they may be sneaking in as that 5 or 6 seed in the wild card with the expanded playoffs. Very, very easily could happen. That's the first part of this, is the owner spending money and the Giants doing it the right way and going after a big foundational franchise type guy with a humongous contract. And number 2, like I said, the Padres are trending upwards and they've gotten better. The Padres beat the Dodgers in the playoffs last year. The Giants are trending upwards. And the Dodgers, yes, they won 100-something games last year. The Dodgers are, if they're not going downwards, trending downwards, they're at least leveling off. They've reached their plateau. And unless they make a big time splash here in the remaining months of the offseason, free agency, maybe they trade for somebody big. They have a ton of money. Don't get me wrong. They have a ton of money. But they don't love giving out huge 9+ year contracts to just free agents. They gave it to Mookie Betts because he was traded for from Boston, and then they signed him to a big extension. They are not the team or the type of team, and they've expressed this before in the past about, they're not the type of team with the approach of going after just free agents and just dumping all this money, especially into one guy. Sometimes it works out really well for teams. Sometimes it doesn't. The good thing about the Dodgers is that they do have incredible player development. They have a loaded farm system. So I'm not going to say that their reign is just at an end. They're just going to dive bomb and they're going to win 60 games next year. Of course not. Of course not. I mean, single-handedly, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman will win them 60 games. I mean, literally, that's how good those guys are. But the Dodgers, they may still be at the top, but they've got the Giants and closer, the Padres, right on their coattail, coming after them aggressively, clearly. So good for the Giants. As a Padres fan, I don't love it, but for the game of baseball and for the storylines between the Giants and the Dodgers and Correa being the big villain guy, embracing that type of role, it seems like he almost likes it. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes about that when he plays the Dodgers and how that unfolds. Is going to make for great content and great TV. Otherwise, it's good for the game. Owners are spending money. Players that deserve long-term contracts are getting it. And the game is changing. The game of baseball, as we know it, not just with the on-field rules, right? The banning of the shift, the pitch clock, the pitch communication technology and hat, everything's changing. But free agency is changing, owners are changing, money is flying around like we've never seen it before. And ultimately, I think it's all good for the game. Maybe some of the rule changes, we'll see. But these free agency contracts are crazy. 13 years, $350 million for Carlos Correa. Giants are going to have their franchise shortstop, franchise cornerstone for over the next decade. So if you guys enjoyed this video, thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys got a lot of entertainment out of that and some insight onto what this means for the league, how this is going to impact them and the other teams around them for the years to come. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to slap a thumbs up on it. Subscribe to the channel. We would greatly appreciate it, because we're going to be pumping out all kinds of sports content, hot takes, reactions, things of that nature. So subscribe right now. Do it. I can see you looking at the button. Just click it. Like the video. And by the way, comment what you think this means for the league. If you think it's too much for Correa, if you think it's not enough for Carlos Correa, if you think it's just right. Are the Giants going to make the playoffs next year? Are the Dodgers trending downwards? What do you guys think? Because I feel like it's a huge impact, and we'll find out more so probably in this upcoming season what exactly it's going to mean. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction video. Carlos Correa to the San Francisco Giants, 13-year contract. Holy cow, man. This free agency is absolutely insane. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace out.